So the screenshot for the front of this, it's grainy as hell. Um, I'm gonna try to see if I can zoom that in somehow or get it to function up somehow to show you what was in it. As soon as these Natalie Bollinger groups popped up, just pretty much immediately, they started popping up where my Facebook was and they began the assault immediately. Not that I hadn't already been through it, but I was not going through that volume of hell. That number of people sending me friends requests. Many of those people who were sending me friend requests were sending me death threats right along with them. The Bollingers and their friends had a heyday. They loved every moment of it. They loved every bit of attention. It's a horrible thing to say about people whose daughter was dead, but look how much they profited from it. Look how much they got from it. Look how much they gained from it. Look how they utilized police officers with a history of assaulting homeless people, of lying on the stand. Officer Waylon Lolatai was assaulting so many homeless people that people got sick of it. And even though he was allowed to remain a police officer in Boulder County, he was no longer allowed to carry a gun. Now, if you notice, the only two people out of all of the homeless people that he assaulted, the only two people that got anything out of it, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV got $98,000, I believe, but he was a black man in a house and they played the race card. They targeted him because he's black. No, they targeted him because he was with homeless people and recording them. They don't give a fuck about homeless people's rights. They do give a fuck about black people's rights. Boulder is super non-racist. Matter of fact, even the racist people go out of their way to be non-racist. Like when you're in Boulder, Colorado, yeah, you need to be fucking tolerant. We're already a few minutes into this. In the last video that I made, there was a lot of surprising people that I ran into. I ran into Ashley, and she reaffirmed that she got my back. I also talked to her about the last time I'd seen her. Well, I've seen her a couple of times since then. But right before I got arrested and put in jail here for 15 months, because a man with a history of threatening to kill me, a history of assaulting people, a felon with a history of abuse against vulnerable adults, violence with weapons, and theft. Yeah, this guy stole from people, and he wants to talk about how bad thieving is and wants me to be his security to make sure Samuel doesn't steal all of his tools, and then calls me drunk after Sammy's been beating on the door for an hour telling me, why didn't you let Sammy in? Well, because you told me not to. Yeah, that guy. The guy who was trying to abuse Stormy, Mossam Bijan. Why are all the worst addicts in town always in and out of Greg's house? Why has that been consistent? Why is it that people keep going in and out of Greg's house want to tell me about going in and out of Greg's house? Why is it that they're free with that information? I don't know. What I do know is that I don't trust Greg. I don't trust anybody. As an autistic person, I can't. And we're going to listen to one video why. We're going to listen to a woman who is supposed to help me. She's not able to see my messages or something. She was supposed to help a couple of times and was a no call, no show. With her current issues, I can completely understand why. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to March 25th. Let's see if this is the video. And I do apologize for doing it this way. Like I said, I don't have the luxury of high dollar equipment or somebody to show me how to do most of this stuff lots of people offer. I get overwhelmed because after they've offered, they want to talk about it. They're special projects, kind of like my dad with, instead of finding out what was going on like he promised, he just moped about. Whenever it came to talking about the situation at hand and actually doing something to help, something that'll actually help me, he just changed the subject. What about that Forex.com? The moment it was Forex.com, he'd talk nonstop. Now you're also going to hear that with this lady, while I'm telling her what I'm going through, she's telling me what her and her son are going through. So we're both talking over each other, but you can very clearly tell their story from mine. You can tell that we do have an effective communication method, despite the fact that it's very garbled, which is completely different from trying to communicate with most of these other folks. I also know, based on the situation that she's in, there's a possibility she might be in a lot of trouble for protecting her son. Let me see. That's not it. All right, we'll let it play from here. I do apologize for it. I had stuff in my hand.
I have a really big problem. I've had the same problem for about 10 years. People don't know the difference between autism and drug use.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people who do offer to help me, and they instead do drugs. And I can't remember your name, but I remember somebody pointing you out and saying that you're sober.
Yeah.
So I live in somebody's backyard in a really...
I'm going to pause it there just to say that the sober part is super fucking important. Having an understanding, as in like somebody in your immediate family who has high functioning autism, that is a super plus too. I mean, we are a fucking handful, and there is no joking about that. We are a handful. There are so many ways to miscommunicate stuff. And sometimes we get into a situation where people are going so incredibly literal with us because they expect that we're stuck in the literal sense. I'll give you an example. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. That doesn't actually make sense. But once you've had the explanation of what it means, then you know what it means. Autistic or not, you still know what the word itself means. You know the way that it is used and why. You know, just because you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway doesn't mean you don't know what each of those are. You still know what a driveway is, regardless of what you call it. If somebody says driveway, you know exactly what they're talking about. So let's press play on this. I do apologize for interrupting. And I know I do that a lot. But I think that this lady's story is important.
Really small town.
Okay.
so it's not like the most optimal of conditions. But I've been relying on drug addicts who have been, they're all real nice about it. They're all fine with being recorded and everything like that. They're fine with telling their stories. But the thing is that all of them are afraid nobody's going to listen to them because they're drug addicts. Or, you know, even though they know they're being recorded, one of the things is they like to volunteer violence against people, and I've lived through extreme violence. That'll immediately trigger me. Even if somebody thinks it's funny or thinks it's a joke, I tell them that I start having these flashbacks the moment you start joking like that. Yeah. So, I literally have $4,000 in my pocket. I have given telephones out to two of the other victims here in town.
People claim to be victims.
I can't say under the table because that's not really what it is. I don't have a friend or family member who's actually going to look at this instead of me having to try to communicate it vocally. And
It's a random stranger with a good reputation.
What high functioning autism is thinks that I'm just rambling.
That guy right there.
Ranting. Somebody beats your ass, does she treat you like you're fucking retarded and making shit up?
Nope. Never.
That's literally what I have to deal with. And I'm dealing with people who...
It's because you're not surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. The right kind of people will treat you right.
I've been going where I'm told to go by the official people that I'm supposed to step into. I do. I have a
I'm going to stop this here because I am not accusing this woman of doing anything wrong. Okay, the situation she's in, you're going to hear it here just shortly. She has every reason to be afraid. We're in Tillamook, Oregon.
Disability income of it's supposed to be almost $1,000 a month now, but it's only 800 and something because they keep talking to me for the time I was locked up. But they keep having to drop charges. I'm not being locked up for committing crimes. I'm being locked up because a lot of people want to ignore a situation where I'm being harmed over things that...
I'm being locked up to prevent me from turning in the cops, TFCC, and the actual evidence against Andrew Wolnez. The problem is that somebody needs to know enough to recognize the safety issue with the police. Instead of hearing one part of it and deciding that you're going to argue, you know, play Mother Goose or whatever it is you want to do, devil's advocate, that's not helpful. You need to hear the details. I heard her details and I heard her ordeals, and the moment she started telling me about her ordeal with her son, I had to become immediately afraid for her, even though I'd had a missed ID with her. She was on the other side in line at one of the churches that I go to. I don't know if she was actually in line. I think she might have been talking to some other folks. But the thing is that somebody pointed and said that that was the lady I needed to talk to. And there's a lady that I know with a similar name who was at a seat between us.
Volunteer in Colorado, and it's really big on true crime stuff.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I recall seeing it.
I am the...
Also, in this, there's two people who recalled seeing it and spoke very clearly about that. So I'm going to back it up just a tiny bit. Oh, come on, please play. I'm sorry, there's no pause on this. If I record offline, there's a pause button so I can deal with this stuff accordingly. For some odd reason, it is being a damn nuisance. Oh, come on. I apologize, folks. I wasn't trying to... Let's see if we can make it work now. You see,
time I was locked up, but they keep having to drop charges. I'm not being locked up for committing crimes. I'm being locked up because a lot of people want to ignore a situation where I'm being harmed over things that the people who did it are already in prison. Joseph Michael Lopez, Shelton Hadley volunteer in Colorado, and it's really big on true crime stuff.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I recall seeing it.
I am being treated like I'm schizophrenic and delusional repeatedly by the courts.
Yeah, the people at TFCC pretended that was a schizophrenic delusion. Scott DaCosta also wanted to tell the mental health people in Nebraska that that was a schizophrenic delusion. He knew full well that it was not a schizophrenic delusion. They just repeatedly tried to have me pegged as mentally ill and dangerous. Dumbasses.
Assault repeatedly by officers trying to turn this stuff in.
Did you have a car?
I did.
You had a car, a beautiful one, just like the one I used to have. That's why it stands out to me.
I can
a
show
green
you,
or a teal.
Honda Civic.
Honda Civic. Huh?
Are you asking what the fuck happened to it?
Oh, you
Which one?
probably know what happened to it. You've been down there by there before they got rid of all those? They got vandalized the shit out of. People kept on calling me a child molester, a rapist, a murderer.
Same
They
here.
do the same thing to him.
Yeah, don't be fucking autistic, retard. Jesus fucking Christ, are you stupid?
Yeah, they call him, and now someone has given out his phone number, so it's ringing off the hook. People saying, yes.
Yeah. People giving out his phone number, so it's ringing off the hook. You get hundreds, possibly even thousands of calls from restricted numbers, and you're told to call the cops, and then you call the cops, and they will only call you back from a restricted number, and you don't know who it is that you're answering the phone call from. Or you never received the call because you've already blocked all restricted numbers. What they don't tell you is if you call 911 and you have those restricted numbers blocked, it's supposed to unblock it while you're on the emergency line, while it's the emergency part of it. If you call 911, there's a special emergency part of your phone.
Yesterday, he got a phone call saying, this is the cartel, we're coming to kill you and your mom.
Can I show you? I have.
They said my name specifically.
Let me see if I have specifically the phone that has it on there. No, this is my current phone. So my number is on the back, and I know I was going to give it to you at the church one time. I was told also that you used to do some sort of outreach. That's what I did in Boulder.
Dylan, do you want the? You have to get the key to let me in. Yeah, we got to get going upstairs here in a second, but let me.
Can I give you my phone number, please?
Absolutely.
And I
need
keep
a
talking
savior,
about
and I'm willing to pay for the hours. I'm willing to pay $20 an hour. It's not
Okay.
a under the table thing. It's this is literally what I'm able to pay. I'm getting victimized left and right. People literally won't understand autism.
Have you?
It's called They're Stupid.
Yeah, just be. But
That's not going to fix my
people
back
fear-
or my wrist. I used to draw pictures of people for a living. I used to teach people how to draw pictures of people for a
oh
living.
my goodness, that's amazing. What is your name again?
John Schwartz.
Okay.
And of course, because when I'm overwhelmed or in a state of crisis, I forget my numbers. I put it on the back of my phone.
Okay, so your phone number is.
Hope you don't mind if I fast forward that a little bit. She's having her issues with that. I definitely don't want to have those issues again. So it's a 1757 on this. We'll go to 1805, maybe? No. $18.19.
We'll see when it comes up here. I don't know if my name comes up or not.
It'd probably either say, what the hell is this?
Oh, it doesn't. That's me. So.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, this is Sean David Schwartz. I'm going to text you. Do you accept texts on your phone?
Yes, I do.
I'm hanging up.
Okay.
I'm going to text the name Natalie Marie Bollinger. You've already seen it. The most recent one that they did was just a couple of days ago. I don't know why it is that when you're mean to girls, they think they're in love with you and treat you shit like that. But I say literally everything. But they
Yeah, when she was underage, Natalie and Alicia, yeah, I was not nice to them. I wasn't nice to any of them kids. I had to be nice to them in Starbucks, and they all knew that. And when they wanted to come tell me about what their brothers did, their sisters did, or their parents did, that's what I was pretty well stuck with. But on the bright side, I had a safe place. For several years, the employees at Starbucks kept me safe, and I had a deal with the manager. It was when we got a new manager who didn't quite understand the situation, and there was a woman named Devin Cockrell who didn't understand the situation. Don't get me wrong, Devin tried to remedy the situation, but it didn't work out. Um, I'm not going to say that's all my fault as much as I want to because I know better, but it's not all her fault either. Let's see if we can open this up.
On the internet and the fact that people assault me here, if they say Natalie Bollinger's name by name, Mike, Mike or Fat Mike or whatever they call him.
Yeah, I know him. I don't know his name.
So
Mike.
he's such a goddamn douchebag, but he's a witness for, and he's nice to me. But so
He's nice to me, then he gets grotesque.
Yes,
he makes ridiculous comments about my body and how it turns him on. And I don't like that.
You guys get to hear him talking like that too.
It's gross. He says, "Where's that purple sweater that shows your tits?" I'm like, "Whoa, buddy."
He also was a witness to several situations, including me posting videos of Moss and Bijan and the human trafficking over there. I've also got on my phone that I have to repeatedly change my phone because the cops doing something about it. They victimized the shit out of me. I got to change my number, and they locked me up. So
that's what I told you we need to do.
No.
He was jumped by 8 individuals, and we have video footage, evidence, and nothing has been done yet. And that happened on Halloween.
Oh, you want to see what they did to my car on Halloween?
He was put in the hospital.
Myself as well. Right after I got out of jail, or out of jail, they took me to the hospital. When I got out of the hospital, I got assaulted when I got out of the hospital so bad my vision was too wonky to make it back to the hospital.
The day I got out of the hospital, I had to go back.
I can't see. I mean, where are you? I don't know. I can't see. Terrifying. Nobody did anything.
The cops do not get
terrifying.
I know who these kids are. I know who some of them are. One of them that keeps messing with me.
Not in his case, but in mine. It might be the same kid.
That's Andrew Walnez's son, but it's not just him. It's a bunch of other kids too.
Like this is the third parent who has told me a story like this, where either they accuse him of being a sex offender because he's fucking autistic, or, I mean, why? Why is this okay? Why does this somehow become acceptable? Because you don't understand somebody or because they're weird or different. That's not fucking okay. It's certainly not okay to jump somebody 8-on-1. That's cowardice. When I'm walking down the street, those youngins, and I'm not talking about little kids, okay? I'm not talking about 5 or 6 year olds. Some of these youngins are in their 30s. It's not like they're a bunch of children on a playground and, you know, I've got some vendetta against them just because they exist.
Their fucking racism is horrible. I have the stuff they did to my car recorded. They had a little mini KKK rally for me down at the Tillamook Sporting Goods parking lot that I recorded.
Do you know that this town is one of the this is one of the bases for the Ku Klux Klan?
I did. That's on my YouTube channel. I've been speaking up about that for years.
There's underground tunnel.
Do I have your...
So Donna, who works at the Seventh-day Adventist Herald Center, this is where you can go here in Tillamook, and you can get clothing and you can get food. That's provided that Donna's not mad at you for taking her picture and posting it up on YouTube after she's done some pretty fucked up shit. But I do have recordings with her where she's speaking about this being a last bastion for the KKK. She talks very heavily about the KKK presence here. So Donna is another one of those people who's very well aware of it.
permission to send
Send me some things, yeah.
5 videos
Send me
to my
some things.
YouTube channel?
Yes, we have to get in for, he's got his family therapy appointment at 2. I've got to get some things put away because we went shopping. But absolutely get a hold of me.
Could you do me a favor right before you do that?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry for holding you guys up. My back's hurting like a motherfucker, and you guys are holding stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the telephone part, and because I can't remember people's names.
Okay, you want to put my name in there?
What am I supposed to put it in?
It's you put it. Let's see. It has SHERRRON. Sharon. It's spelled different, but it's Sharon.
All right. So for your safety, just in case it fucks up, just fucking piece of shit, I'm gonna put D Mama for the last name. Is that okay?
Yeah.
DMOMMA. Also, I'm a notorious douchebag, and I have to be.
I form my own opinions about people. I don't think you're a douchebag at all.
Really? If
Yeah.
anybody fucks with you in front of me, you'll see me taking an ass whooping. I'm a douchebag.
There's a difference between being a douchebag and serving people what they deserve.
True that.
There is.
I'd rather be a douche.
I almost ran over a damn child because they jumped him and was trying to jump him again. I jumped out of my car. I almost ran over a child because there was so many of them trying to kill my son. And state of panic, I tried to run them over with my truck.
No, it's not your car.
Or my car. The car I had before this, I gave it away.
Yeah.
But definitely get a hold of me.
I know how this works. I do.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to. Not even allowed to have a girl think you might have a crush on her because it's embarrassing, and it's not.
We gotta get going.
That's how it's treated. Stigma.
She's totally cool. The thing is, first of all, obviously posting this up online like this, she's probably pretty well aware that I record by now. I'm fairly certain that I told her. I should have told her right then and there, and I feel bad that I didn't. We were out in public. As soon as I heard that, yes, the Natalie Bollinger thing is that popular. It has been that popular. A lot of people in town are aware of it, but they don't know the truth, and they don't care what the truth is. They've found a scapegoat. When they have a bad day and they want to go take it out on somebody, well, why not that dude that everybody's saying is a pedophile and a rapist and a murderer? I mean, you saw what was on A&E. Yeah. You also get to see that there's so many threats. So many threats from other people who are offering to help me. Yes, I'm angry about the situation. It's important to get this stuff and this information in their heads so that they can retain it and understand it. And some of the simplest stuff, it's horrible to try to explain to people without these pieces of paper how actually simple these things are to do. There's also the joke of self-advocacy. This is where instead of them calling the people that they're supposed to, these mandatory reporters, they ask you, well, who do you want me to send it to? Even if you give them the answer, they tell you, well, I have to turn it into my boss, Lieutenant Silvera. That would be when you're in the jail anyway. In the last video, you got to hear Ernie Cohn being pretty loud. He's also done the same thing in the bank, being very loud about me being in jail. I don't know if it occurs to him that I don't do drugs. I do know that when I saw him over at Ryan Woods, he had a bong in his hand of some sort, and he was apologetic because he felt that he was being disrespectful. He didn't expect me there. And if you've been paying attention, Brian Wilgus is the reason I was there, and the reason that I was going to Brian Wilgus is because Nicole Vertner sent me to him, even though he sent me to Nicole Vertner. She worked at the Seventh-day Adventist Hospital and volunteered at the Seventh-day Adventist Church for feeding the homeless. There's also a lady in the last video who was a chaplain out at the hospital, and I did specifically request a chaplain, hoping that one of the people from one of the local churches here would recognize me, and I'd get to tell them the situation and have them look it up. And the lady Well, I had this pile of paperwork here, and I was able to take that piece of paper that I just showed you, showing that I got a head injury the day that I got out of the hospital. It was just a few days before that I saw her. She said that she was going to look up the Natalie Bollinger situation and come back and talk to me. I was doing everything that I could, talking to anybody that I could, to try to get someone to look it up instead of allowing these people to continue to harm me and pretend that it's a delusion. The most simple stuff. First of all, there's this piece of paper. It's called Reflection Questions, Psychosocial Barriers to Self-Advocacy. What happened? 1, what happened? Number 2, how did you feel, especially about not being heard? It literally says that, especially about not being heard. What do you wish had been different? Can you describe a time when you didn't feel your concerns were listened to? How did that affect the outcome of your care or your trust in the provider? What would you have wanted to hear or experienced instead? How have you advocated for yourself or a loved one in healthcare? Well, I've gone in with them in person if they needed it. That's usually the only thing that gets you heard when you're out here. Also, many of the people out here with actual diagnoses, I keep getting told what their actual diagnosis is. With some of these people, it's a completely wrong diagnosis. With some of them, it's the right diagnoses. With a lot of these people, it's like, for example, Raymond. I've had several people tell me that Raymond ended up the way that he is because they decided to inject him with some medications that permanently screwed him. It is very, very, very likely that Haldol was one of the ingredients in whatever they injected him with. It says, what challenges did you face and how did you address them? The next part, this is the first part. The next part says, what am I not saying that needs to be said? I think with that one, the question that's more important is, why aren't you letting me say it? The next one is, what am I saying in words or actions that is not being heard? Well, I state very clearly in words and actions my precise meaning for my words and my actions. I don't just freak out for no reason. There is a definite reason. Number 1, the physical assaults and worse over crimes I never committed. Let's see, it also says, what is being said that I am not hearing? Quite a bit. You get to hear, I should have stopped and listened to that lady's whole story and let her tell it to me and posted that shit up. As it is, with those racist little shits, yeah, I definitely have to be afraid for her. I have to be afraid for her son, and I don't hardly even know them. Oh, fucking Christ. It says, how am I complicit in creating the conditions I do not want? If I don't speak up, I have no right to be heard. If I don't exercise my First Amendment right, what right have I to the Second Amendment, or the Third, or the Fourth? And then we've got so many people that want to plead the Fifth after they've already committed crimes. They've already made mistakes. Many of them, it's mistakes that they made that they're trying to cover up. They're trying to hide. They don't want people to know. And for many of those people, the fact that I was recording when they told me those things, the fact that for years and years I was Mr. Wallflower, I was the person everybody wanted to tell their problems to. It sucked going to Chapel High School and listening to a whole bunch of the girls I was going to school with tell me about which family member they lost their virginity to. Unconsensually. That's not okay. But it's a rural area. One of the other people in the last video was Ashley, and she said she doesn't care, and then she told me her last name. She knows. She's aware that I record. It takes some adjusting. It takes some getting used to. A lot of people are surprised when, after saying they're fine with being recorded, they're not afraid, they said what they said, they'll come back later and go, dude, what the fuck? Like somebody's saying I said this or I said that. And then I play the recording for them and they're like, oh, you really were recording on YouTube? Like, yeah, dude. Oh my God, you really have recordings on YouTube of people assaulting you? Like, yeah, dude. I told you. So there's a lady named Lori, and her son remembers me as Jesus, which, that night I spent a lot of time trying to explain to him that I wasn't Jesus. I finally had to just give up on the endeavor. It happens. She is a super nice lady, though. And as you can tell, she's a little chatterbox. She's aware that I record. She knows why. She said she doesn't really understand it, but you got to hear her talking about TFCC when she gave me a ride. You also got to hear why it is that she ended up at that church to begin with. As she was pulling out, I saw her. Sorry, there was some sounds in the background. I had to wait for them to stop. Thank goodness this actually, filters a lot of that out of it for you guys, but it doesn't filter it out for me. I've got an audio recording device that I usually keep on because it records things better. That interaction that I just played on my phone with that lady, it's also recorded on this. The audio recordings are easier to send. I don't have to have a whole bunch of subscriptions to a bunch of extra storage over the internet and try to keep up with that so they don't destroy it because I didn't pay the bill and shit like that. The two-factor authentication cut me out of a lot of my evidence. Police officers knew exactly what they were doing when they came after me. Kind of like Scott DaCosta when Meg Misigatis finally got off her ass and got a few people together to try to help to get me a safe place. We rented a hotel room in Sidney, Nebraska, which is in a different county. And Dallas Richmond, instead of giving me a ride there, insisted I just take his car. So I drove to that hotel with his car. I also made sure that things that needed to be turned in went with me. That includes the illegal firearm that I was forced to make. And I do mean forced. Coerced is a better word for it. I just had to make sure that the guy I made it for didn't get his hands on it. So the night before I was arrested, Megan Misigatis was trying to help me to get this help. She had an organization called Capwin that rented the room for me. And, I was working on doing the stuff on the computer that I needed to in order to turn in Scott DaCosta, his deputies, Leslie Snell, who is the secretary, and William Barr, who is one of the former Denver police officers who claimed that he was part of the investigation in Natalie's case and that the Craigslist ad was absolutely true. That guy also cut me off from help from friends that I'd had for years. People I've known longer than he has, for certain. Just because he has a lack of morals doesn't mean that... Just because he has a lack of morals doesn't mean that I don't care about the people that he's keeping me from. All of these people decided to play victim together. What Scott DaCosta was trying to do is have me sent so far away that even though my bail was only $600 for misdemeanors, there was no way I was going to be able to get it. Now, this right here is from a mental health specialist named Marcia L. Estrada. She very specifically states that I don't have schizophrenia. I do not qualify for schizophrenia. She's not the only one who said that. Here in Tillamook, they tried to use the state hospital and multiple other state forensics evaluators to try to have me pegged as schizophrenic or delusional based on their word and their word alone. The same thing the cops in Colorado tried when I tried to turn them in. The same thing the cops in Nebraska tried when I tried to turn them in. And this wasn't Scott DaCosta's first rodeo with that. He tried having me sent to Scotts Bluff more than once on mental health holds, whatever excuse they could make. And then, of course, because I'm in a different county, I can't turn them in because it's added jurisdiction. I have to turn them in Dual County, which is the Dual County Sheriff's Department. That's it. I got to turn in the Dual County Sheriff's Department to themselves. It took me at least 6 months of being run around in circles on the phone by Nebraska state troopers. Finally, when I had Nebraska state troopers who were supposed to show up and actually do something and actually investigate, they didn't show up, first of all. Second of all, the video that I was making to show them how impossible it is for me to walk through Chapel, Nebraska without running into somebody who had threatened my life or otherwise committed felonies against me. Some form of harassment, which in some cases of harassment, it's a misdemeanor. In some cases, it's a felony. People accusing me of killing a little girl. All that same crap. Even after they found Natalie Bollinger's killer, I still had to deal with that stuff from the Snell family. Leslie Snell, Clint Snell, Carl Snell, and then some of their extended friends. So when Leslie Snell ended up working for the Dual County Sheriff's Department, fuck, that's the way life goes, right? Wrong. So when they tried to paint me as schizophrenic and delusional in Nebraska and Colorado, well, by the way, I should probably show you this again just so you can see that head injury. Yeah. I looked at this. That's how I was able to tell what day that lady from the church that I saw there was. She stated in the video that was like a year ago. It was actually over 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. So, what ended up happening in Nebraska is that Leslie Snell and Scott DaCosta and Robert Franklin Mornick, who is a registered sex offender, and, well, their word versus mine, right? Well, unfortunately, their word doesn't match any of this stuff. This is from Nebraska, but I got stuff like this from Colorado, too. I got stuff like this from Montana. I got stuff like this all over the country because I've had to move repeatedly since Natalie was killed. I also had to move quite a bit before she was killed. Now then, the situation of me being sent to prison, so my friends couldn't come and see me. I wasn't informed that my electronic evidence had been stolen by the police. I was under the impression that Dallas Richmond had gotten it. But the worst part out of all of that, or possibly the best part, is that illegal firearm stayed underneath that hotel bed for that entire 7 months while I had to try to turn it in from inside of the jail. And then later inside of the prison. 2 separate prisons. Where I was cut off from going to court against Leslie Snell and her fake-ass civil case where she pretended that she didn't have any other court stuff with me. Her name and stamp is stamped on all of my paperwork. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew that she lied in those proceedings. She knew that I was in prison. So did the judge. So did Scott DaCosta. They knew that I was illegally prevented from going, but they didn't write that down in their paperwork, did they? No, they just held the court date without me. How many times has that happened? Let's see this. It says insufficient evidence to support a conviction because state is unable to locate previously recorded conversations and victims involved do not wish to testify at trial. First of all, they'd go to fucking prison if we took it to trial, if I actually had an attorney. Unfortunately, I was stuck with a public pretender who just was fine with, okay, whatever, dude, fucking he's mentally ill, let's get the paperwork and fucking give me my money. That's every single public pretender in America. There are no public defenders. If you want to tell me that there's a good public defender, I'm not going to believe you. You're going to have to show me. Kind of like telling me there's a good cop. I almost thought there was. Now, I have recordings of these situations, at least in part. This one right here is CR 21-9, Judge Randon Rowland. And CR 21-9, you get to see that. That's a notice of dismissal. Just wait till we get to the paperwork involved in that. And the number of people that I spoke up about before I was arrested on bullshit charges. Oh, this one is exactly the same, but it's a different case number. CR 20-94. And it says insufficient evidence to support conviction because state is unable to locate previously recorded conversations and victims involved do not wish to testify at trial because they'd go to fucking prison. The moment they actually cracked open the evidence on those computers, there'd be a bunch of people going to prison. So I'm showing the evidence here. You guys get to see it for your own two eyes. Oh, here's another one. Oh my God. Oh my God, is there a third one? My God, yes, there is. Or your God, whatever you Christians want to pretend you believe in. It says CR 21-8. Insufficient evidence to support conviction because state is unable to locate previously recorded conversations and victims involved do not wish to testify at trial. It's kind of odd that there are so many of these. There's about 30 separate situations in Dual County alone since Natalie's death. I want you to take a look at that. It says notice of dismissal. Randon Rowland. Insufficient evidence. Are you sure you just somehow lost all of the evidence? You lost the body cameras of at least two deputies and at least 2 state patrol officers? You lost all of that? You lost evidence of me turning in the assault by registered sex offender Robert Franklin Mornick. You lost that evidence too? Well, let's see. What about Rod Wright, the supposed preacher who's actually not ordained? He recorded it as well, and I recorded it on my computer. When they arrested me on bogus charges, came into that hotel room, got a fake warrant, and it is fake. These people were already under investigation. The investigation was supposed to have started already. And yet the state troopers didn't budge on it. They didn't do their jobs. And then I was told that they were prevented from doing their jobs by the courts. Some such crap like that. That would be Sergeant Jones, Troop E. She's now Lieutenant Jones, Troop B, as in boy. So I've got a bunch of stuff that says I'm not schizophrenic or delusional. I've got a bunch of stuff that shows that they absolutely had to drop the charges. It shows that they lost an awful lot of evidence, thank goodness I have evidence on my YouTube channel. Yeah, and my evidence tells a much, much different story. The attorney in this was Audrey Long. She got the charges dropped because she wasn't stupid. The one that I had before that, I don't remember his name, but it's in my paperwork somewhere. And that guy, I wasn't even allowed to talk to him for 38 days or some shit like that. He didn't fucking lift a goddamn finger. I had to be worried that somebody was going to find that firearm and possibly go do some harm with it. So when I got out of jail and I got some money, the first thing that I did is rent that exact same hotel room and go in there and make sure that I removed that firearm. Oh my God, it was still there. And then I tried to turn it in again. For all I know, Zach Richmond's got his hands on it, hidden it somewhere, and is planning on shooting Rod Wright with it. You know, he's got plenty of excuse to want to. Some of the other people that were in the last video, because I ended up running into a lot of folks. I also remembered that the girl that Christian Amata was trying to get his buddy to kill, and they were planning it out in the jail. Her name was either Karina or Katrina. And yeah, I don't mess around with that. Anybody who wants to subpoena the records and subpoena Chase Moody at the jail here in Tillamook, and also subpoena David Fenewald from the jail at the Tillamook here in Tillamook, and also subpoena Deputy Peyton Taylor, badge number 277, at the jail here in Tillamook. I've got information here they weren't supposed to give me, and they got in trouble for giving me. I do want to show you the protection order with Andrew Wolnez as well. It's a full protection order. And yeah, a lot of people have seen him break the protection order, but the going in together part is important, and knowing what's up is important. Some of these folks want to forget that making suggestions might not be the best idea. I also want to let you know that it is granted I have both the temporary and permanent stalking orders against Andrew Wolnez. I also have the information about it, that he just doesn't seem to care. Well, I'm speaking up about abuse. This man is being abusive. I've gone over this time and again, and it's also been the front cover for several of these. If you've just scrolled down through my video list, you get to see that there's the screenshot, the place saver for it. Most of them are pieces of evidence. Evidence of threats. Not evidence of threats against me. Evidence of threats against Candace Bondurant. Intimidation. And more. Not just by these people in these YouTube groups and Facebook groups and Natalie Bollinger, Sean Schwartz hate groups. People in person approached my sister and others. Many of these people wanted to threaten each other. Cara Rogers, who in one of the recent videos You get to see what her and Aaron Cockerham were typing and saying to each other. And then they're wanting to send that stuff to me. Cara Rogers is telling me she's not going to help me if I'm still talking to Aaron. I need to block Aaron or she's not going to talk to me. Aaron's telling me I got to block Cara Rogers, a.k.a. Cara Mia, or Aaron's not going to talk to me. I saved the evidence. The problem is they didn't come forward because they were busy playing games. None of that should have happened. It all should have been monitored. It all should have been supervised. The police should have done their job, but they didn't. They never do when you're homeless. They know that nobody cares. Nobody actually cares, or you wouldn't be homeless. I know at least 6 homeless people here who aren't allowed to stay at home because of their drug addictions. However, their parents will feed them still and allow them to take a shower. And then kick them out again because they can't handle the drug use. Now, this permanent protection order, it very clearly states, duration. This judgment does not expire. The terms of this judgment are permanent unless changed by further order of the court. Contact includes, but is not limited to, coming into the visual or physical presence of the other person. Number 2, following the other person. Number 3, waiting outside the home, property, place of work, or school of the other person or of a member of that person's family or household, including any specific addresses listed on the temporary order on petition citation for stalking protective order. Sending or making written or electronic communications in any form to the other person, speaking with the other person by any means, communicating with the other person through a third person, committing a crime against the other person, communicating with a third person who has some relationship to the other person with the intent of affecting the third person's relationship with the other person. Whew, that one's long-winded. Communicating with business entities with the intent of affecting some right or interest of the other person. Damaging the other person's home, property, place of work, or school. Delivering directly or through a third person any object to the home, property, place of work, or school of the other person. Service of process or other legal documents unless the other person is served as provided in ORCP 7 or 9. Notice this judgment does not prohibit respondent from appearing at any scheduled court appearances in this case. Now with me, I absolutely was prohibited and prevented from appearing at any scheduled court appearances where people were pretending I was out to get them. Literally people who I have evidence against. You get to see that evidence. You get to see the stuff with Cara Rogers. You get to see the stuff with Tim Beeson. You get to see where it started when they were using their actual names. You get to also see some of their alias names. You get to see how they've made fake account after fake account in my friends and family's names. They think it's okay, that they should be allowed to do these things. And how dare I record them threatening to kill me and my friends and family? How dare I record them assaulting me because they heard a rumor? How dare I not just lay down and take it? How dare I speak up? How dare I try to do things peacefully? It's reality, folks. So this video is an hour long. I'm going to go ahead and end it, even though there's a lot more people to talk about from the other video. A lot more people that are witnesses. A lot more people who know how long this has been going on. Also, I like Brian. Just that I don't.